Your Excellencies, the governors of the Southeast states, the President General and leadership of homeland worldwide, our elder statesmen, my lords, our spiritual leaders, our mothers and youths, I bring you special greetings on the occasion of the Southeast Summit on Security and Economy. I was indeed duly invited to this summit and I plan to attend. Therefore, I regret that I'm unable to attend physically due to prior inevitable scheduled engagements that I had to be outside the country. This summit, which is focusing mainly on security and its negative impact on the economy of the Southeast, has come at the most auspicious time. It is very necessary that as a people we come together and put our heads together to find a lasting solution to this problem of insecurity in our homeland. Our mainstay as a people is business. No business, and indeed any other economic activity, will thrive in midst of insecurity. If we put our minds to it and work in unity and with mutual trust, we will find a way out of this problem that is alien to us. Let me therefore commend Your Excellencies, the governors of the Southeast, for initiating the idea of the summit and working together to make this a reality. Let me urge everyone at this summit and those of us who are not able to attend in person to speak up, contribute ideas, offer suggestions, and be part of the initiative or actions that will be agreed upon at this summit to bring an end to the problem of insecurity in our region. I pray that God Almighty will guide us, grant us the wisdom, strength, and courage to take the necessary steps to end insecurity in our homeland so that we can continue to work with our God-given talents and energy to restore peace, tranquility, prosperity in the Southeast and indeed our dear country, Nigeria. I wish you fruitful deliberations and may God continue to bless all of you.
Excellencies, governors, my dear brothers, honorable ministers here present, our royal fathers, our leaders in Ohaneze Ndigbo, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. I'm deeply honored by the invitation to address you today. Prior engagements unfortunately prevented me from joining you at home, but I'm happy to be able to make this keynote speech. Let me start by congratulating you on this extraordinary gathering of Southeast leaders coming together to consider the economic and social development of the region. I would say it's about time. Difficult times warrant extraordinary measures. Nigeria is going through tough economic times in a context in which the world is in crisis and uncertainties, whilst at the same time changing rapidly. If today's initiative or gathering succeeds and delivers concrete results, then I hope it will be the start of a journey to improve the lives of the more than 23 million people who live in Abia, Anambra, Ebonyi, and Enugu and Imo states. And it could do much more than that. I'm convinced that a re-dynamized Southeast has the potential to become a beacon of development, good governance, and stability in our country. A re-dynamized Southeast can give our young men and women hope and make them feel part of the changing, digitizing world. It will minimize their desire to undertake dangerous journeys in the Sahara Desert or Mediterranean Sea. But to give hope, we must grapple with and fully own our own problems whilst looking to the many available solutions. The Southeast has so many talents and opportunities, and I think we can plan how to exploit them all to the benefit of the region and its people. On our challenges, I'm sure you expect me to mention the big gaps in infrastructure and services. Yes, that is a challenge, and we'll come to that. But I don't think it is our biggest challenge. Our biggest challenge in the Southeast is ourselves. Allow me to speak frankly. We have too often been our own worst enemies. We have allowed ourselves to be divided. We've lost focus and lost sight of our biggest assets, namely a sense of community and mutual support. We no longer have solidarity. Instead, we have fragmented as a people, and that has made us forget how to work with each other. We don't support each other. Instead, we attack and undermine each other. We're too individualistic, and individualism can be good, but not when we need to come together as one to enable us deliver. But there's a bright side to this challenge. If our big problem is ourselves, it means that the solutions also lie in our hands. If we can build a sense of common purpose and cohesion, we can solve the other problems. To do this, we need to exercise joint leadership, and that is precisely why it is so important that you're taking this step today. Our other big challenge is security. This has arisen partly from our fragmentation. Insecurity in our region is sending the wrong signals about whether one can invest in the Southeast. I want to commend the governors on the recent progress on this front, including mobilizing the NSA and the federal government to assist. The lesson for us is clear. You cannot have development without security, and you cannot have security without development. And to have both, you need good governance. Sustained growth and development are impossible amid repeated sit-at-home orders from one or the other group. To take this region forward, the security problem needs to be solved. The federal government is obviously an important player here, but there is much to be done at the state level, and that is why I commend your leadership as our governors. I hope that the relative calm returning will become the norm. We also have to admit that the governance of our states can be stronger and deliver more. After all, we are Ndi Igbo, and we should hold ourselves to a higher standard that delivers more for our people. In that context, it is important to pay attention to our fiscal performance. There's a very good report on the state of states by the CSO organization called Budget that ranks all 36 states in terms of various aspects of fiscal performance: dependence on FAC allocation, growth of internally generated revenue, spending on capital projects versus recurrent expenditures, level of indebtedness, etc. The 2022 edition of the report shows that while our states are not doing too badly compared to others on many of these indicators, in fact, Ebonyi ranks consistently among the top 10 in all the indicators, while Anambra ranks among the top 10 in 3 of the indicators. But our states are not doing too well either. We need to do better on internally generated revenue. We need to keep our borrowing down and improve our capital expenditures. Governors, state legislators, and local government chairs must continuously ask themselves, are we using our FAC allocation wisely, transparently, and effectively? Can we generate more revenue internally, and how do we do it while still motivating our productive sectors and factors? Are we taking on too much debt? Are we even spending the amounts borrowed effectively? What can we do to improve our spending on capital projects? Keeping these questions constantly in your mind, something I did when I was a finance minister at the federal level, helps ensure that state and local government monies are channeled in directions that truly deliver for people. We know that one of the biggest challenges that we have is infrastructure. We alluded to that earlier. Specifically, access to electricity and good roads are vital to future progress. People will say that is largely a federal government responsibility, and yes, to a great extent this is true. But there is much the states can do. We have federal roads and we have state roads. The federal government has privatized electricity generation and distribution, yet things have not really improved as much as we would like because of discontinuities in the system. But I see this privatization as an opportunity Southeasterners can seize to improve the situation in the region. One of our foremost citizens, Professor Bat Nnaji, has already shown what one man's ingenuity and drive can do. He may not have got it all right, but he has shown how we can try to solve some of our problems in the power sector. Now that the world is moving to renewables because of climate change, we also have the opportunity to move to off-grid solar solutions for our rural areas, while still looking to see how we use our gas for urban and industrial purposes. The Rockefeller Foundation in New York, together with some partners, is working on solar and battery storage solutions that can attack energy poverty in developing countries. They are looking at working in Nigeria. Can we attract them to the Southeast? Let me dwell on a few other opportunities we can seize to develop economic activity in the region. Our biggest resource in the Southeast is our human resources. Ndị Igbo dị entrepreneurial. Anyị ma alụ ọlụ. Anyị ma ịzụ afịa. Some of the biggest entrepreneurs and industrialists in Nigeria are Igbos. Many micro, medium, and small enterprises that thrive in Nigeria, West Africa, and elsewhere are run by Ndị Igbo. Have you ever been to the market in Niger, Burkina Faso, Cameroon? I have. And these places are full of enterprising Ndị Igbo. Then I ask myself, why is the Southeast looking so shabby? Why is our wealth and industry, apart from Aba and Nnewi, not so visible here in the region? How can we harness this entrepreneurship even better at home? Beyond Innocent, our wonderful brother, and a few others, can we get the several billionaires we have to invest more in the Southeast so that we can create decent jobs for our young people right here? Can we get beyond our individual beautiful mansions in our villages to make our Land Igbo lovable and livable? How can we have an apprenticeship model that a scholar recently described as, quote, the largest business incubator platform in the world, with apprentices emerging with skills, experience, and also startup capital, close quote, and still see our young people desperate on the streets of Onitsha, Lagos, and every small and large city in between? I want to suggest right away that we convene a Southeast Investment Forum, not for people from outside the region or abroad, but for our own Igbo business people. In this forum, we should examine what is blocking greater investment in the Southeast region and what we can do to lift these blockages. Only after this should we do a Southeast Investment Forum where we can attract outside foreign investors. Let me use this occasion to also let you know that yes, there are investors that can be attracted. This is a very important moment in the world where investors abroad are seeking to diversify their supply chains due to the vulnerabilities they've seen as a result of the pandemic and the war in Ukraine and the ravages of climate change. Certain supply chains are being considered. Pharmaceuticals, for example, fertilizer, labor-intensive industries, and yes, technology. The question for us in the Southeast is, can we attract any of this supply chain diversification? Technology is where the world is moving to. Artificial intelligence is what the world is talking about now, and it is exploding. We already have so many of our young Southeasterners involved, from fintech to electric motorcycles. From where I sit at the WTO, we can see that technology and digital are critical. The fastest growing segment of trade is digital trade, especially digitally driven services trade. When I talk about digitally driven services trade, this means anything from streaming music and movie services to delivering accounting and backup medical services. Digitally delivered services trade is growing at 8% per annum compared to 5.6% for goods trade. We have the human resources, the trained professionals to benefit from digitally delivered services trade. We also have the creative industries, film and music, centered in Onitsha and elsewhere, that can become part of this trade. What we need is to build a digital backbone in the state, either through cable or satellite, to provide the appropriate digital infrastructure. This kind of investment is better done at scale. So I hope, Excellencies, that you can get together to figure out who to approach and how the supportive policies can be implemented to attract this kind of digital infrastructure investment. Digital trade for micro, medium, and small enterprises, online education, health and accounting services can provide good jobs and incomes for our young people. Enugu is already becoming something of a hub for tech and digital in the region. I wonder whether we can build on this to develop our own Enugu Valley, as I know other Nigerian states are working on their version of Silicon Valley, California. Regarding pharmaceutical supply chains, the Federal Minister of Health, Dr. Mohammed Pate, is working on this to attract this supply chain to Nigeria. I suggest that as a region, you approach him to see if you can work together to attract vaccines, therapeutics, or diagnostics manufacturing facilities here to the southeast. Aba is already a manufacturing hub, along with Nnewi. What goes on in Ariaria industrial market, despite the infrastructure and other challenges, never ceases to amaze me. They can label what they produce made in Italy, made in Korea, made in Japan, but the truth is, it's made in Aba. I know Governor Abia has his sights set on trying to improve what is happening and improve the environment for those working in Aba. Again, can we all work together to build up and build out both Aba and Nnewi as industrial hubs? But let me say there is no reason why factories can not also be located in Owerri and Abakaliki. Let me touch on another important resource we have that we can make better use of. That is the large Igbo diaspora. I was surprised when I took an informal poll of a gathering of people in my village, Umodisi Ngumuahia, to see how many families had at least one member in the diaspora. Surprised to find that almost everybody put up their hands. The Southeast has one of the largest diasporas in Nigeria, if not Africa. There are Igbos everywhere, from Douala to Durban, London to Leipzig, New York to Newfoundland. Igbos are highly educated professionals, university professors, doctors, lawyers, engineers, accountants, and nurses, and also big sports stars in football and basketball in the USA in particular. All are willing to support the development of the region if they could find a stress-free way to contribute, and I mean stress-free. Drawing on these diaspora resources, there is no reason why the Southeast could not become a service hub for education or health in the country and the region. Let our professors help develop high-quality schools, and universities, building on education investments already happening in the region to attract people beyond the Southeast. And let our diaspora doctors build up specialist hospitals that can draw people from other parts of Nigeria, West and Central Africa and beyond. I happen to know that many of these diaspora doctors would like to help. My husband is one of them. It may sound far-fetched, but I'm convinced we can make the Southeast a services hub for education and health services. We can also draw on the diaspora for financing. I don't know how many of you recall that when I was finance minister, Nigeria floated a diaspora bond of $300 million, a first for the country. Drawing on the resources of our diaspora, though we also opened up the bond to other investors, we were able to attract hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, the World Bank has recorded almost $21 billion in remittance flows to Nigeria in 2022, about the largest remittance flows in Africa. A significant portion of this must come from Southeasterners abroad. Most of this comes in to support consumption and some forms of investment at home. I'm sure the Southeast governors coming together can do some financial engineering and find a way to float a Southeast Diaspora Bond or Fund to capture some of these flows and channel them towards financing some of these development priorities. I know that support from the federal government Ministry of Finance will be needed. It seems to me that we can pitch this to the incoming team. They seem to be open to fresh ideas, so why don't we try to muster their support? You will notice that I've not dwelt on agriculture or natural resources. This is because that is where we always go first when we are talking about opportunities in the region, forgetting all the other possibilities that I've just spoken about. But I have not forgotten that we have big opportunities in agriculture, oil and gas, and some other minerals, some of which may now be in demand as the world seeks to decarbonize and get to net zero carbon emissions in 2050. But again, to fully make use of this, value-added investments in these areas will need hassle-free bureaucracy and appropriate investment environments. Before I conclude, let me say that many of these opportunities that I mentioned will not prove as attractive if the macroeconomic environment in the country is unstable. Low growth, high inflation, the depreciating naira, and exchange rate volatility make for daunting challenges. The federal government will have to get a handle on overall macroeconomic management for the country to attract both domestic and foreign investment and for the country to grow. They insist they are working on this, and I hope we can see stability soon. In the meantime, Southeast governors must work on the elements they can control, many of them listed above. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude by saying that I'm optimistic. Yes, I'm optimistic for the Southeast. Your coming together at this time is a great sign. Our youth and women are vibrant. They are ready to work. They are just waiting for a truly committed leadership. We have what it takes in the Southeast. Let us just get on and do it. Igbo kwenu, kwezuenu.
A befitting standing ovation and another resounding applause for Nigeria's finest, the Director General of the World Trade Organization, WTO, Dr. Ngozi Iweala, on that thought-provoking and homegrown keynote address. And we move on swiftly now because we deserve to have some royal blessings because we've been here since earlier today. Let us welcome for his remarks, Royal Father of the Day, the Obi of Onitsha, His Royal Majesty, Abogidi Alfred Nemeka Chebe, Commander of the Federal Republic. Can you turn Abogidi? Tufi Abogidi. Tuzuonye Abogidi. Dikon Abagote Abogidi.
Your Excellencies, the governors of the Southeast states, led by Chairman of the Southeast Governors Forum, His Excellency Dr. Senator Hope Uzodimma, and his colleagues that are here and those who are not here. The Chairman of the occasion, and for the benefit of time, I'll stand on established protocols. Ndị Igwe na ndị ụkọchukwu a na-ekene unu. Mmadụ niile, ndị ụmụ nwoke igwe egwe no, ndị ụmụ nwaanyị ọmụọmụ no. On behalf of the joint body of the Southeast Council of Traditional Rulers and the representatives of the Igbo archbishops and bishops, on Peace and Reconciliation, which we normally call the Joint Body for brevity, I express sincere appreciation to the Southeast Governors Forum for organizing this summit. The joint body came into existence in 2021 to engender peace and reconciliation based on justice and equity as foundation for progress and development in Igbo. If you take your mind back to 2021, Malku Utu Obodosi Dioga, that brought us together. The timing of this summit could not be more urgent, with the threats against Igbo at unprecedented levels since the Nigerian Civil War. We're never more in danger than we are today in Nigeria. The imperatives for a clear vision for Igbo cannot be overstated, and I think our governors have made it very, very clear in their addresses at this moment that the country is at a dangerous crossroads. The national economy is in tatters, and internal security is getting worse every day. In the Southeast, we have the aftermath of the last general elections, the complex and protracted security situation involving kidnappers, political thugs, state and non-state actors, all masquerading as unknown gunmen, as well as the economic strangulation of the zone arising from the insecurity and the ill-advised sit-at-home protest that has cost Igbo incalculable losses in finances and, tragically, properties and lives. Onitsha, as a commercial city, is seriously affected in this regard, just like Aba, Owerri, Enugu, and other major cities in Anambra State, in the Southeast. It is therefore of utmost urgency that we set our own overarching agenda, Igbo, our own overarching agenda that is above partisanship and shared by all stakeholders. And I think many of the speakers have talked about that today. With the joint body, we started with immediate issues of regional security. We worked on the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu from detention and the elections in Igbo. And then we shifted attention to medium and longer term issues that confront Igbo. We considered three broad issues for immediate intervention, namely strategic economic development, organized regional security, and the rebirth of the Igbo nation through revisiting and repositioning our values. All the statements today have focused, obviously, on the economy and security, because that's the theme. But the third element, which we believe is even more fundamental, is the need to reset our values. The greatest existential threat to Igbo may invariably be argued to be the continuing erosion and perversion of our traditional values of truth, love, compassion, patience, restraint, modesty, intellectual and professional rigor, Ibambo, Ichuchu, mutual support, family, and an abiding pursuit of peace and goodwill to us all. Because I Bundi, Ojembe Nwilo, we're all over the place. We're itinerant people. The joint body has taken immediate steps on a journey that will transform the lives of Igbo, starting from the cradle. I presided over a 2-day workshop earlier this month, where the breadth and diversity of Igbo core values orientation was discussed. The logical end of the workshop was the inauguration of the Joint Body Committee on Igbo Values Reorientation, The committee will develop a blueprint that will be presented to a cross-section of Ndigbo stakeholders in multiple colloquia for them to support and give agreement on a program and timeline for implementation. It's a long-term project, but we cannot run away from it. The joint body is pleased that the agenda for this summit completely dovetails with its own vision for Ndigbo and complements and completes the tripod of the economy, the security, and our core values. The last acting as the foundation for sustainable accomplishment of the other two. So we need our values back. We need to restore our values to accomplish the economic development and security. We are pleased also that several members of the joint body have been involved in the preparatory work for this summit. And this is very, very welcome synergy in the interest of Ndigbo. And finally, I urge all present to ensure the success of this very crucial summit on the search for sustainable solutions to the security and economic challenge of our homeland based on the restoration of our core values. Thank you very much.
It's a blessing when you have a royal father this articulate. And we have received a royal blessing. Can we put our hands together for the Agbogidi himself, the Obi of Furniture? We welcome you. Everything is classy. Everything is world class. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have heard from different areas of human endeavor. We kicked off with prayers from the religious angle, and virtually every professional group have spoken. Let me move to the National Assembly as I welcome the chairman of the Senate Committee on Capital Markets. Please welcome here distinguished Senator Osita Isinazo. You're welcome.
Your Excellencies, the Southeast Governors of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the chairman of this event, and the former Senate President, Anyim Pius Anyim, the President General of homeland Ndigbo, let me respectfully observe all protocols. I'm delighted to stand here today on behalf of the Southeast members of National Assembly. Our senators are well represented here today. Members of the House of Representatives are also well represented here today. We in the 10th National Assembly have started on a good note in collaborating with our state governors to ensure that the economic and security situation of our zone is improved. You will recall that we have had two motions, one in the House of Representatives, one in the Senate, to calling on the federal government to address the issue of insecurity in the Southeast. Because we believe that the governors cannot do it alone. We believe that it requires a collaborative effort between the governors of the Southeast and the federal government to tackle the issue of insecurity in the Southeast. And I believe once that is done, all the other issues of economy and all the rest of them will be a thing of the past. But today, I wouldn't want to join in too much lamentations. Today, we're now saying that the time is ripe to reset the Southeast. And how do we reset it? God has given us all the men and women to reset it at this point in time. If we begin from Abia State, we have the like of Otti, who will represent the Alexander the Great in him. Time has come for you to reset the Southeast. We have Professor Charles Soludo, who is Charles himself. He served the CBN at a trying moment. Charles Soludo will link him to the likes of Charles de Gaulle, who saved the French people in the Second World War. Time has come for you to help to reset the Southeast. The holiness in Francis Nwurufu is replica of the holiness of St. Francis. Time has come for you to reset the Southeast. Peter the Rock, Governor Peter Mba, Christ himself said, upon this rock I'll build my church. Today we have a rock in the Southeast where we can all lean on for Southeast to be delivered. And in all of this, we have hope. And once you have hope, you have every other thing. But before I leave my speech, before I leave here, the book of Matthew told us that there shall be a time our Savior will come, and his name shall be Jesus, who will also be called Emmanuel. Today we have Emmanuel Iweala as Ohaneze the President General. What are we still waiting for? Okwandi Bosna, Osita Adema, Odregawa, to God be the glory.
Thank you so much. And now we're moving on. Please, a resounding round of applause. Thank you. Thank you for that thought-provoking remark. And now we invite, especially for his remarks, Minister of Science, Technology, and Innovation, Chief Uche Naji. Please, let's keep the applause. Let's give him a resounding applause as he comes up for his short remark.
My remarks is actually going to be very short. Like she said, short remark. Governor General of Nigeria, Governor Hope Uzodinma, Governor of Abia, Dr. Otti, Alex, the former Senate President, Senator Payo Saim, the Obi of Onitsha, General Ike Nwachukwu. Please, let me stand on existing protocol. What I will do mostly is to thank the governors of the Southeast for thinking it wise to organize this summit. There is not much to say in here because most of what needs to be said have been said by both the governors and the beautiful speeches coming from the previous speakers. But the thing to add is that making it an annual event, as Governor Hope Uzodinma said, our Governor General, is something that will help this zone, the Southeast zone. And it will help us, it will help the zone. So what I'm suggesting is that every Monday we are sitting at home, it is affecting our economy. The amount of money we are losing both in trading and in services is enormous. So everything should be done to even placate the all the people involved in the problem of sit at home, to bring them together to make sure that this issue of sitting at home for very active people like the Southeast stops. Also, this forum, I'm using it to also beg the Labour Congress, because the same thing that is happening with Igbos, the kind of money we are losing, if they embark on strike, we will still have the same problem. We will lose a lot of money. So if there's anything like palliatives that the federal government is organizing, they should have patience. The palliatives will touch everybody. So I stand here on behalf of the ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on their mandate, that I'm talking on. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister for Science, Technology, and Innovation. Thank you. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, like I said, it's every sector in the Southeast that is coming here to speak. Next is a man that represents the digital revolution in Nigeria. Even when Africa was analog, he was ahead of his time with Xynox, making us very digital. To speak on behalf of the business community in the Southeast, I'd like to welcome here Chief Stan Leo Eke. Welcome you. You're welcome.
Thank you, my brother. Your Excellencies, distinguished Nigerians here, I want to appreciate you and let me observe protocol. I think 95% of the men and women here are from private sector. Be it politician, royal fathers, and those who have stayed there. And a lot of you who are in government, you are coming back to where we are. I want to appreciate the organizers of this. Frankly, this is the first world-class summit I'm attending around here. So I really want to appreciate you for the effort. Mine is very simple. The governor of Imo State summarized the challenges and preferred solutions. A brilliant submission, and supported by his colleagues from other states. Frankly, if you know the problem, you know the solution, then you don't have issues. But I just want to point something, because I'm talking about private sector. We are now in the new economy. Things have changed. We can talk from now to tomorrow. There should be food on the table. A hungry man is an angry man. Money is available in the global marketplace to do business. If you are credible, I have what it takes to make it happen. A lot of us won't be something because we didn't have the credentials. And that's a story of successful entrepreneurs in the world. But few things must happen. I don't have enough time to tell you all that must happen. But that document presented by the governor of Imo State is a knowledge domain. Now, Igbos are known as traders. Everyone in the marketplace is a trader. So I'm using myself in the private sector as a point of contact because I'm a local Igbo man, but with global identity, built from nothing. So if I could do it, you can do it. But we started when people were blind. You must understand critically that what made the Ojukwu successful in the last century cannot make you successful today. And that's why I'm in Imo State today. The marketplace is full of competitors. They have natural brilliance, they have energy, but a lot of them lack humility. You cannot be successful except you're a humble person. And then we have spirituality. So I entered technology. Because I'm an Igbo man, I didn't want any person to say I'm lying, because in technology it does not lie. That's why I'm in the business. And frankly, I think, this is my own first suggestion, I have offices across Igbo land. I even built a 2-story building, brand new, in Onitsha main market. And the federal government is trying. His Excellency knows, and all of them know, in fact, I called all of them before. The federal government is putting wireless cloud in every market, big market in Igbo land. I'm doing it, I recommended it. They awarded the contract and they paid. So why that introduction is to create a knowledge, freedom to succeed, in summary. Things have changed. We must prioritize our investments. It has nothing to do with where you come from. I'm an Igbo man. I've done projects in Iraq, in Libya, in Guinea-Bissau, in Dubai, in Gambia, and I did election in Nigeria. And I'm doing the census. I supply the whole equipment. You can fight. But this is the best time for the Igbo men and women with intelligence to succeed. That's why I call it a new economy. Your father, who your father was or is irrelevant. What happened yesterday in Imo, when I entered the stadium, I nearly wept. And what I said there came from my mind. The governors, you hold the ace. I didn't know it could happen in this state. While I was here, she can be a witness, I have people coming here to tell me I employ their children. I don't know them because they are qualified. Some of them met first class. If your child is brilliant, I will help. Yesterday, I called some VCs to get admission for some of the kids here. So I want to plead with you. We need to engage our brothers who are a little bit restive. We need to engage them. If you need to bring the businessmen with the governors, what is the problem? Let's solve the problem. And the governors, you have the capacity. I'm not a politician like you people know. You have the capacity to resolve one major issue. Embrace the president, discuss with him, and see if you can get Nnamdi Kanu out of prison. Now, why I say it is that I have businesses here. Private sector is commercially driven. If there's no profit, you cannot find us there. Are you with me? Fine. Now, we have APC. Please, forget politics, solve the problem. And why I said, Madam, I'll still leave you. Now, why I'm saying this? We have, sometimes don't condemn people until you know who they are. And why do I say this? I'm not a politician, I'm not in any party, but the present president I know if it's His Excellency, Governor Hope Uzodimma, my brother of Abia, of Anambra, of Enugu, you could book appointment with the president and say the only agenda is to see how you can release Nnamdi Kanu. He will release it. Now, just 1 minute, please. Please. You know why I said that? It's from experience. And you can quote me. I want to live here in peace. Now, why I said this? President Tinubu, I had engaged him when he was a governor. I told him, please appoint at least one Igbo man as a commissioner. He did not argue. He said, bring the Igbo elites. I booked a meeting. He came there and committed. 2 weeks after, he appointed Ben Akaboze as commissioner in Lagos State. So when you have somebody who can listen, please, if you solve it, that is a major problem resolved. I'll talk when there's a real economy discussion. But God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. The conversation has taken another dimension. Chief Leostan Eke just spoke on behalf of the Southeast business community. Please, can we have decorum in the hall as we continue taking goodwill messages from esteemed dignitaries on this grand occasion. I would like to most respectfully invite for his goodwill message General Ike Nwachukwu. Please give him a resounding applause. General Ike Nwachukwu, two-time Foreign Minister of Nigeria, many firsts, a retired army or a general, will give us a punchy goodwill message. Please, let's keep clapping because he is one of Nigeria's finest and he is here to add his voice to deliberations.
Your Excellencies, governors of the Southeastern state, and my colleagues in the military, thank you for honoring us all today. Today is a great day for Ndibo, because for the first time in recent history, we have our 5 governors agreeing to work together for a common cause. And I want to thank Governor Hope Uzodimma for birthing this, and thanking all of you governors of the Southern state for agreeing to work for Ndibo, for a change. The time is gone for individual development. The time today is for us to collectively define who Igbos are, collectively design what we want for the Southeast, and collectively defend it. My training as a soldier suggests to me that the way to peace is to prepare for war. The way to prepare for war is to set the values you intend to defend and therefore coalesce with a force level to make that possible. Today, our governors are defining, in your speech, Governor Hope Uzodimma, you defined what the Southeast should be. And we believe that if we all collectively here now design what we want to make our state, our region to be, we will succeed in having our people thrive in peace and in dignity. Lastly, it is time for the Southeast governors to think of designing 4 or 5 superhighways from the east to the south and the west from the north to the south and from east to west. How do you do it? You can make the design and every state will build their own section, and in no time the entire southeast will be highly developed. I recall going to Israel some years back as foreign minister. And I went to the Golan Heights that you probably all know about. And there I found that the reason why they're sitting there is to ensure that they defended the Sea of Galilee from where they reticulate water to the rest of Israel. And I just wonder why in the southeast we have a Rasha River, we have a Ji River, we have Imo River and so on, and yet our people are not getting potable water to drink. It's no magic. It can be done if you all decide today to build 6 major waterworks in your states, and then get expertise to build the pipes like Gaddafi did in Libya with this man-made river. We can in no time recirculate water all over this state, and our people will be happier. The other point is education. You cannot develop beyond your capacity. So if you train your people, invest money in education, we will in no time, in 20 years' time, this place will be fantastic. I have my strong belief also that in the 5 of you, our set of new governors, we have a new dawn for Ndibo. And God bless you all.
Chukwu is a master of elocution, very distinct diction. Thank you very much. Thank you. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, there's a man that has been here since 9 a.m. He bears a name that is close to a Nigerian name. He is the country representative of UNIDO in Nigeria, and a man that is deeply, deeply in love with Nigeria. Mr. Jean Bakole will be stepping forward now for his goodwill message. Please. Your goodwill message. Do you have any goodwill message? Okay, sorry. Okay, thank you. And so, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we'll be shifting the microphone to the former Honorable Minister for Women Affairs, Iyom Josephine Aneni. Maybe you might need to take the microphone to where she is. Southeast women. Okay, so Ambassador Nonye Rajis Okbara will be speaking on behalf of the Southeast women.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Your Excellency, I'm going to be standing on existing protocol. Iyom Josephine Aneni was supposed to be speaking on behalf of the Southeast women, but she had to leave early for another engagement in Enugu. so I'm going to stand in her place. It's a long speech, so I'm not going to go through the speech because we have long spent our time. But on behalf of the women, what she's trying to convey to the leadership of the Southeast and His Excellencies who are well represented here is that the women of the Southeast, we are nurturers, we are mothers, we are helpmates, and we're here to convey our support, our undivided loyalty to our men, to our father, to the leaders. And we want to say to our people, election is over. We should put our differences aside. This is the time for governance. This is the interest of the Southeast. We are not here to take sides. Whether it's your party is party B or party A, but as mother, that we are 100% supporting what our Southeast governors are here to do. It's a clarion call, and I want to also use the opportunity to say, please, for the sake of the Southeast, we are actually special gift to this country called Nigeria. I want to beg everyone on behalf of the women on the Southeast mothers that please let's put our differences and join hands with Imo State, Abia State, Enugu State, Ebonyi State, and Anambra State to build the Southeast of our collective aspiration and dreams to make it a safe place. This conference is about security, it's about economy, and we are the economic hub of this nation. Let's take our rightful place in the nation of this country, in our nation called Nigeria. We want to thank our governors for coming together for the first time. We have amiable governors from the Southeast whom we're very proud of. We are just going to say to you, our dear governors, the women, we're here to support you. We are grateful that you have come together, irrespective of political aspirations, to fight together. The power of the fight for the South is the soul, because the economy and the security is the soul of Southeast. We're very grateful that we have come together to make sure that Southeast is one safe for our collective hope aspiration. On behalf of the Southeast women, I want to thank our Iron Lady, who is the chair. I mean, it's not surprising that she is the chair of this great occasion. Senator Christy Anyanwu, as the woman, on behalf of the women, we want to thank you for organizing an amiable and a wonderful conference. Thank you and God bless you.
And that's from women of Southeast Nigeria. Josephine Aneni, represented right here on the big stage. We're moving on. Another remark is up next, but before we go on, let's specially recognize the presence of a former Minister of Education and former Supervising Minister of Foreign Affairs, Professor Mrs. Viola Onwuleri. Please appreciate her presence. Thanks for being here today. And now we will
a Southeast plan and an agenda. I'm giving you more job to do. A plan. The next one is homeland consciousness. What will it take to implement this plan? Onwa? You spoke extensively about the things that we need, this and that, and so on and so forth. But I want to suggest, dear friends, that if we don't have the homeland consciousness, we don't believe in ourselves, this will not be achieved. So, let us believe. I've had the speeches given, books of lamentations. They're very good to lament. But I rather like to see the glass as half full than half empty. The Southeast is ready for business. The Southeast is ripe for business, and we must all believe in our ability to turn things around and get the Southeast going again. That must be the outcome of this particular summit. We can lament about the insecurity and so on and so forth. This is not the most insecure place in the world. Other places are thriving in spite of their own insecurity. Yes, when I arrived in Anambra, 8 local governments were totally under siege by these hoodlums. They're all gone. We're settling to business. They will not deter us. Anambra and the Southeast, all of us, must be determined to move our place forward in spite of the challenges. So, I say to our people, but those in diaspora who are waiting for the perfect time to come, when all the problems are solved, when the Southeast governors must have solved all the problems. God didn't make a mistake in making you Onyibo. God didn't make a mistake in making you to come from the Southeast. If He chose for you to come at the time when all the problems are solved, then He would have decided to make you to come another time, not now. So, homeland consciousness, we must all believe. Stop seeing the half empty, oh, it's all gloom and doom, they shot somebody yesterday and therefore we must all run. If we all do that, this place will be a desolate homeland. We must believe. And my last point, the kind of partnerships you require to make it happen. When we believe, and part of that belief, and I now wearing Akwete from Abia. When I put on the Akwete from Abia and Innocent from Newi, or shoe from where? Who said Abba? Not Abba. My shoe comes from Obudike. I believe. Because I do what? I believe. Where is yours coming from? Eh? Where? No. I can see the fine things from Italy and from all over the world and so on. We must believe. So, self-belief, for me, is fundamental. If we live here without mainstreaming that, then all this wallowing, we might have just come, feel good factor, we talk to ourselves and go home. We must believe in ourselves. And finally, after the issue of self-belief comes partnerships. Ndi Igbo, we need not just ourselves, we need Nigeria. Ndi Igbo need Nigeria, and Nigeria needs Ndi Igbo. Ndi Igbo need Africa and the world and Africa need Ndi Igbo. As an itinerant people, we cannot be an intolerant people. We need the partnership of everybody. Partnership of the rest of the country, partnership of the diaspora, partnership with the international community. When we recently recruited about 5,000 teachers in Anambra from somebody from his or her village, no, you want to have attention from the best in the world, and that's who we are. We must think home, act global, but our homeland, to build a livable and prosperous homeland, must be a mission. And for that to happen, we need ourselves and we need the world. I want to thank you very much, and God bless you.
Igwe Nemeka Alfred Achebe, CFR. Igwe No. Igwe is my father and my mentor. So let me use him to recognize all the other traditional rulers, including the chairman of the Council of Traditional Rulers, Abia State, His Royal Majesty Eze Linto Mba. I must also recognize my own Archbishop, Oboko, the Methodist Archbishop of Umuahia, and therefore stand on other existing protocols. It's such a difficult task to speak after a process. Former governor of Central Bank, and my senior brother, Professor Soludo. If it were in the north, when the leader has finished speaking, the rest of us would just chorus, "To." So I would have just said to what Professor Soludo said. I'll try to be brief. I'm most especially delighted to stand before you today and share my thoughts on the importance of this summit and expectations of many Igbo sons and daughters and other interested local and international players who will be quietly following to see what fruits this event will bear in the medium to long term. Permit me to begin by appreciating the Southeast Governors Forum, the leadership of Ohaneze Ndigbo, ably led by Chief Emmanuel Iweala, CFR, the Summit Central Organizing Committee, and all the individuals and groups who contributed in diverse ways to make this program a reality. Thank you for the sacrifices and for everything you have given to bring our people together to reflect and talk to ourselves on the two issues that are very critical to our survival and prosperity as one people: security and economic prosperity of the region. It is fulfilling to observe that all the clans, socioeconomic, political, cultural, and demographic groups within the Southeast region are fully represented, and the importance of this should never be lost on us. The vision of the organizers of this event is very clear: building a secure, prosperous, and economically robust Southeast. This intervention is very timely, and it is good we have it in this auditorium. Individuals with records of proven achievements in all thematic areas. It is my expectation that the insights to be shared by these accomplished men and women shall help chart a new path for our land, which unfortunately has become beleaguered by several challenges that could not have been contemplated a few years back. Our duty here is to tell ourselves the truth, and we must resist the temptation to let political considerations minimize the frankness and sincerity that should be central to our recovery and restoration. A lot has gone wrong in the last 2 decades and more, and the triggers were both internal and external. What we must do over the next 2 days is to look ourselves in the eye and admit that we have indeed not lived up to the vision and dreams of our fathers, the men who built what was once known as the most thriving economic center of enterprise and productivity in the world, and that was Southeast. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Dr. Michael Okparade Sambakwe, Dr. Akanu Ebiam, and others achieved so much for this region, not because they had all the money in the world, no. What they had was a clear vision of where they wanted the region to be, and followed it up with the right commitment made the right sacrifices, and built the networks and partnerships that enabled them to achieve so much within a very short time. Some of the most better developed cities and towns, outstanding institutions and structures we still have across all parts of Igbo land and beyond, we have very eloquent testimonies to the vision and developmental strides of our fathers. The question is, why did we stop? What comparable achievements have we recorded in the last 40 years compared to the previous 40 years? Why it is very convenient to blame military interventions and external sabotage for much of our failures, we must also look within and ask those searching questions. Have we been fair to ourselves as leaders? Have we done the best to advance the socio-economic interests of the land? Trading blames and pointing accusing fingers at others would do us no good. To solve our problems, including worrisome insecurity, requires the collective engagement of all stakeholders. As leaders, we must acknowledge that the challenges we face today were products of yesterday's decisions. How do we create jobs and the enabling environment to sustain enterprise? How can we support our young people to live out the full expression of their dreams here? How do we build an ecosystem that attracts and retains the best talents we can find? The needs of the modern man have evolved, and we must be able to develop the structures that speak to the appetites of the average individual in this age. Modern housing facilities, quality road networks, dynamic educational facilities that answer to the learning needs of the global economy, smart cities, high-speed broadband internet, one-stop shops and retail malls, standard hotels and event centers, parks and gardens, secured and clean neighborhoods, financial services centers, and access to quality water have become very central to our existence in this age. And any government that compromises on this would continue to witness the mass exodus of its best brains and minds. So what is the way forward? I cannot claim to have all the answers, but I have a few ideas that I believe are worth examining. One, we must be willing to engage with our youth population, understand their needs, and address that sense of alienation that is continuing to linger. We must importantly identify effective ways of tapping into the power of their creative minds for their lives and advantage. Additionally, we must appreciate that there is anger in the land, and there is a reason many people are disappointed. We must open a window of engagement with those who believe that they have not been paid attention to or they have not been treated fairly. As leaders, we must be open to listening to those we are leading, especially when we have different ideas about key issues. We must work for justice. Justice in our community, justice in our region, justice in the entire land. The common man feels that anything can happen and justice will hardly be done. The extortion and exploitation of our people by those in power must stop, and the life, voice, and freedom of every individual. Thank you. And the life, voice, and freedom of every individual must count within the limit permitted by law. We must rise to condemn the rampant acts of bloodletting and other forms of violent crimes in the region. Our culture and tradition regard the human blood as very sacred, and we must hold on to that. The desperation to get rich, especially amongst young people, has reached epidemic levels, and we must be genuinely worried. Is there anything we can do to make contentment a virtue in our land once again? I'll leave that to everyone in this auditorium to respond to. We also have a responsibility to find ways of addressing the rising problem of drug abuse, which is damaging the life and potentials of many of our young ones. Supply must be cut off, and those who profit from this pattern of destruction made to face the full wrath of the law. This is one matter we must never compromise on if we want to restore security and sanity in our communities. Importantly, we must encourage our people to look east by creating the right environment for their businesses. It is not enough to ask them to relocate home, but I must especially commend the industrialists and businessmen who are continuing to invest in this region. I thank you for your efforts at make growth within the region. I encourage others to begin to see the great opportunities that are developing here. But I must also address our leaders that we do not have a choice but to create the enabling environment for businesses to do well in the Southeast. Remember, fortune, they say, favors the brave. As political leaders, we must set the pace by identifying investment opportunities within our domain and commit adequate public resources to motivate private investors. We must lead the way, and there are lots of opportunities waiting to be harnessed in oil and gas, hospitality, transportation, education, and so much more. While it may make sense to say that government has no business in business, it is also factual to say that without government direction and commitments, no business will remain in business for a long time. Where necessary, government must intervene directly in business. And I make bold to say that quite unlike what the classical economics will tell you, that government involvement in business is not healthy for business, I say that that is not true. I have it on authority that the United States government invests no less than $28.5 to $30 billion every year intervening in agriculture and ensuring food security in the United States. Same is done in energy and, of course, other areas, including transportation. At this point, I want to specially invite everyone seated here to the groundbreaking ceremony of the Abia Industrial and Innovation Park in Owaza. Owaza is in Okwa West local government of Abia State, and this event comes up on Saturday, the 30th of this month by 12 noon. That's in 2 days' time. The park, sitting on over 1,000 hectares of land, will host multiple layers of businesses, including modular refineries, petrochemical and fertilizer plants, and several other chains of enterprises that will take advantage of the oil and gas deposits in Okwa West. It is near to Aba and Port Harcourt cities. A seaport is in the works. An EPZ will also follow. 24-hour power supply is guaranteed, and other components of the larger ecosystem within the community to make businesses work. Already we have secured support of a major stakeholder to build an innovation and incubation center within the park. The facility will train and expose our young minds to the best tools and platforms for their trade. The Innovation and Incubation Center will specially benefit university students, graduates, and startups in several ways. You will get more details from some of our representatives at this summit and at the groundbreaking ceremony on Saturday. My message as I close is simple. Building our region into a prosperous and secure space is our collective obligation. No foreigner will do it for us. Granted that foreign investment is desirable, those who own the land must lead the way and develop in accordance with the values they hold dear. We are naturally enterprising people, but we are also in love with knowledge and learning. Whatever we propose must take cognizance of who we are as a people and how we want to interact with the larger world. The emphasis must be on getting as many people as possible on this sailing ship, but we must never be held back by those whose ideas and methods have never yielded anything beneficial. In the end, we must never shirk in our duty to show our children the path to a desired future. Even if we are unable to get there ourselves, we must try. The commitment must be to do better and, most importantly, position this land to take advantage of the many systems of benefits that the new global borderless economy promises. My dear brothers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for listening, and I will see you in Okwa West on Saturday. God bless you.
I would also toe the line of my brother from Anambra. I will not read my formal speech, which I've prepared because I was billed to actually speak at 11:35. And as you know, I'm also hosting another event in Enugu State, so I must hurry to meet up with that event. I am truly delighted to be at this summit, holding at a critical time for us as a people, bound in common history and cultural heritage. But before I proceed, let me, as a co-host, also join my brothers in bidding you all welcome to this August occasion. I may technically be also qualified as a guest, but I know many of you have traveled from far to be here. So we indeed say welcome. And I also want to thank immensely the organizers of this occasion. We also have to begin to think about how do we, the people of the Southeast, the governors of the Southeast, how do we meet regularly with the security agencies? How do we ensure that the inter-security agencies are able to share intelligence and that there is no undue restriction? Because sharing of such intelligence is what you require to fight a cross-boundary criminality. And so we would also, in the same vein, be thinking about how do we set up a command and control center that is common to the entire Southeast states. I recall in our first meeting, the Southeast Governors Forum, some of these ideas were mooted. And I'm hoping that as part of the ideas that would be explored in this occasion would be to figure out how we can implement and execute these ideas. We are also looking at ways beyond just the kinetic approach to addressing insecurity. We're looking at the moral suasion, the non-kinetic approaches to dealing with insecurity. We know that some of these our youths are being misled into believing that they are fighting a noble cause. And so this is where our traditional rulers, our president generals of the various stand union have a critical role to play. How do we let this our youth see the folly in their action, their misguided actions, knowing that this could only be a shot in the foot? As a way of extending the non-kinetic approach is also for us as leaders of this zone to be able to think about how do we deal with the root causes of insecurity. In my opinion, how do we address unemployment and poverty? That naturally leads me to the next theme of this summit, economy. I believe that in order for us as a region to grow, we must take a bold view of the things we can achieve as a region. So, and that would include looking at how do we have an integrated region, into how do we integrate this region, a very compact region for that, but how do we integrate it into a common market? And what are the synergies that we require to build in order to achieve that? What are the key enablers to have a common market? Now, the importance of having a common market is A, you're going to be able to attract large investments. Okay, if we're looking at a market size of 25 million people and above, so you're talking about 25 million consumers, and you're looking at the economies of scale that you can achieve by that sheer size of people. We're also going to be able to look at how do we create a large scope of specialization by way of, the things we have comparative advantage of in the Southeast. So there are ways we can begin to think about expanding or growing our economy, but talking about them would require, as I said, key enablers. And in my view, those key enablers would be in form of transportation and logistics. How do we ensure that we have a rail network that loops across the various cities in Anambra, Abia, Imo, Enugu, and Ebonyi? How do we build a ring road that connects all the major cities in the Southeast? How do we build so that we can seamlessly encourage those who are producing and those who are providing services to be able to distribute their products and services across the different cities of Southeast seamlessly? So there are things that we must be intentional about if we're going to deal with unemployment and insecurity in the Southeast. So, without wasting so much time, I'm going to be suggesting a few things. First of all, let us look at how to curate this idea of since today we now have rail as, based on the new amendment of the law, we have rail in the concurrent list. So there is nothing stopping us. So if we pick one or two projects from this summit that we can say, look, we're going to, as a people of Southeast, make sure that we implement, we execute, and we know that it's going to have a huge spillover effect. Of course, the challenge would be, if we believe in it, what would be the various sources of fund? How do we fund it? That again brings me to this philosophy of Akuruno. We can be thinking about different models of funding. We have the crowdfunding model. So Akuruno, in my view, is for us to also encourage our kids and kin to be able to bring back their wealth to the Southeast, at least putting a benchmark of, say, between 30 and 40% of our wealth. We're people that are wealthy, the Igbos. So if we begin to think about how do we invest some of those funds in the Southeast, is also a way of making sure that we have huge capital flow into the Southeast to be able to execute some of these critical projects. So my hope is that this summit is going to employ the best of our brains to create these ideas, prepare them in a way that is implementable. I can assure you that for us, I'm sure I'm speaking for my brothers as well, that we're going to stand by you to implement these great ideas that you would curate from this summit. So once again, I want to thank the organizers of this summit, and I wish you a fruitful deliberation. Thank you.
More music at ngf.com.
The Executive Governor of Ebonyi State, Right Honorable Ogbonna Nwifuru, he would have been here present. But you know what happened yesterday? He's still in Abuja, but we thank God for the grace. And congratulations to Ebonyi people and everybody here. I'm deeply grateful to the organizers of this wonderful security summit in our Southeast. It came at the right time, the time that we have to stick together as one family. It came at a time that we have to talk and look at our faces and tell ourselves the truth. Yes, we have come of that age. Enough is enough. We need to come home. We need to come together. We need to speak at one voice. We need to talk to each other, to encourage each other, so that all that we need in this Southeast will be done. What do we need? First of all, we need peace. This peace cannot just come from anywhere. Let us start from our homes. As a mother, what do you do in your house? Have you been able to talk to your children? When we talk of social vices all start from home. Have we been able to trace? Have we been able to talk to our children? Where are you coming from at this late hour? Which type of friendship? Which type of people do you follow? And once in a while as a mother, have you gone to the school of your children to know whether exactly they are in the school? These are the roles of a mother that we need to do to curb all these social vices that is emanating and taking the role of our children. Mothers, are you there? Yes. The women are ready to take this course. We are ready to go back home to talk to our children, to remove them from the wrong track and bring them to the rightful one. Praise the Lord. Secondly, we have said it all here. All my leaders, the governors, and all that are spoken here, we have said it all. All that we need in this Southeast is to believe in ourselves. There is nothing we cannot do in Southeast. When you go out there, even outside the country, the best in the whole world comes from Southeast. The best in the brain, they come from Southeast. How can't we sit? Can't we sit together and harness this epitome and harness all this wisdom that we have in the house seat? So please, this summit, we appreciate it so much. I wish we can be having it every week, where we can come together and interact and speak with one voice on how to move Southeast forward. But for Ebonyi State, we are committed and fully committed to support this project to the end. God bless you all. And as we go back home, let us go as that good ambassador to preach this good news to our people. God bless you all, and it shall be well with us.
Ebonyi State Governor for the success in the tribunal. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to speak to us next is the President General Ohaneze Ndi Igbo, Chief Dr. Emmanuel Iweala.
The governors, this is a very important ceremony, and I want to assure the governors, Ohaneze will be very willing to have this event as one of the annual events in the calendar of Igbos. I will forward it to Obi of Onitsha. Obi of Onitsha is the chairman of a committee that we hope will look at our culture, tradition, and drop a new calendar for Igbos. So I want to tell our governors that we are not going to leave this without that. Now, this is a summit on development and security. I will only summarize. In security, I have very painfully examined what has been happening in Igbo land and other parts of Nigeria for the past 2 years. I have been in tears most of the time. As a leader of Igbos, every Igbo person is my son or my daughter. If you are a leader, you must lead good people. You must lead bad people. I accept the fact that among Igbos I lead, they are not all angels. It's my duty as a father to take steps to ensure that bloodshed is stopped. Tomorrow, when I address our people on the Igbo Day ceremony, I will make a proclamation, and I'm going to say that all these young people should sheathe their swords. They must come to us, the elders, and tell us what their problem is. And I'm going to appeal to the government to think of non-kinetic approach. I don't feel happy losing the life of my children. I don't feel happy when soldiers are killed in reprisal, many people are killed, property is destroyed. Even if you use Air Force, when a bomb is thrown, bomb doesn't know who is an insurgent, you kill everybody. So we have found ourselves in a difficult position, and I think we must consider seriously the non-kinetic approach. Number two, is not only pursuing the criminals. Why are they criminals? Why are they criminals? You must stop the cause. First of all, the economic condition in Nigeria is bad. Everybody knows that very well. I am very glad. I am very proud of the governors of Southeast. All the Southeast governors have started a program of creating jobs, creating employment, of youth development. I am very happy. I'm very happy with this. I think federal government should support the Southeast governments and Ohaneze Ndi Igbo in a program of completely transforming the economy of this place in order to create jobs, in order to produce goods and services. So they will help us. We thank the federal government for the dredging of Uguta Lake, which Governor of Imo State have initiated. We also in Ohaneze, when I went to America, many Igbos there are interested in dredging Azumini, in dredging Iweala and Okija. So apart from Uguta, we could get Azumini a seaport there, a seaport around Iweala. We are trading people. If we have this, our place will turn from this type of crisis to heaven everywhere. Number two, we have our people are traders, commercial people.
We have in Ohanese decided to encourage the development of markets. In fact, one of our sons have already finalized arrangement to develop an international market at Umuahia. An international market, Umuahia in Abia State. It's going to be on 200 hectares of land. It's fantastic. And when that is done, most of our people who live in Igbo land to other places will now have markets to trade. There is a group also that is working on a megacity between between Okigwe and Enugu. We are working on it. We hope to discuss this with the governors forum at appropriate time. There are so many things we are planning. A lot of things we hope when we plan them, things will be all right. But we think federal government will support the governors. That is, support them financially, support them on the projects they're carrying, so that you could have job opportunities. Once you have job opportunities, that will help to reduce all this crime. I don't want to talk so much because we have been here for too long. I want to thank Chris Anyanwu and his team. I want to thank all of you